Let me go across to Mr. Amitabh Kant joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Kant, thank you very much. The opposition is saying, okay, personal income tax, theek hai. You have lowered the threshold. That is great as well. But what is it in the budget for generating employment? Because if you want to get the economy out of the sulk that it is in, you will have to give more jobs to people. Wo kahan hai? How do you respond to that, sir?
So actually there's a huge amount of focus on job creating sectors. I've never seen this kind of emphasis on any budget. If you look at tourism and giving it infrastructure status, if you invest in 50 cities of India, for every job that you create in tourism, you have a multiplier impact of 11 other indirect jobs. Then there is a huge emphasis on toy sector. There's an emphasis on footwear, on leather. These are all massively, and there's emphasis on textile. I've never seen this kind of emphasis on labor creating sectors as there has been in this particular budget. But in addition to that, let me say that you'll create jobs if you grow. If you don't grow, you will not create jobs. So the budget, if you read it in its entirety and analyze it in its totality, it's a budget of growth with jobs. And that, to my mind, is the really high point of this budget. It also, focuses on creating demand, creating consumption, which will lead to production, which will lead to growth, and then to jobs. Without that, there are no jobs.
Sir, there is there is already a replenishing startup fund. There is more that has been promised in this budget. How do you think that will help, especially when it comes to generating jobs?
So, startups are very critical to India's economy because they bring in young entrepreneurship, and startups create more jobs than established organizations and established companies. When we launched the startup movement in 2016, we had done a 10,000 crore fund of funds. Fund of fund means that the fund of funds will put 1/4 of the money, 3/4 of the money will come in from alternative investment funds, that is the venture capital funds. The due diligence is done by the venture capital funds. And that's how the startup movement took off in India. Because there was risk sharing between the fund of funds and the venture capital funds. That is getting exhausted. Another 10,000 crore is being put in for that. And that will again fuel the startup movement in India. But the other big thing that has been done is to create a 20,000 crore fund for innovation and say that there will be another fund for deep tech in India, because you need startups in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, defense. All these are cutting edge areas of growth. You need patient capital. And for that, you need another deep tech fund of funds, which has been acknowledged and talked about, which will play out. So in totality, about 30,000 crores for the startup is a big move forward.
Sir, can I ask you, and I'm asking you this question based on what the chief economic advisor said yesterday, essentially not elaborating, but saying that to some extent, India Inc. has let India down and nation building down, because in 2019, we cut your corporate tax. The hope was that you will invest more. The hope was that you will create more jobs, and you didn't end up doing that. I want to ask you, as someone who's led the NITI Aayog as well, whether you feel the same, that India Inc., despite being given that big tax concession in 2019, didn't do what it was expected to do.
I am a great believer in private sector, and I believe that India will grow only if there is free enterprise. And we should keep encouraging them to invest more and more. It was important to bring your tax regime on par with the world's best tax regime. The balance sheets of the private sector were pretty strained. They've been able to get rid of their all the leveraging that had been done on these balance sheets in terms of debt, that has now been cleared. And I'm sure that in the coming years, the private sector will invest much more in India. And you will see lot of greenfield projects coming in India in the coming years, and particularly in the clean tech areas of growth. So I am not being very despondent about it. We did it with the interest that they will, they will utilize additionality of the benefit that has been given to invest in India. But I'm sure that they will do it in due course.
Mr. Kant, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. Good to get your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I'm slipping into a quick break. News and updates continue. Do stay with us.